The world is coming unglued, but in a good way, in many ways. Of course, we see what went on in Minneapolis with the tragic death of that woman. Obviously, she provoked the ICE agent, but that doesn't matter. They're going to turn this into a George Floyd situation. Thank God she wasn't black. Can you imagine? The entire country would be up in flames at this point in time. And my advice to Kristi Noem and to President Trump, push ahead even harder now. Get the job done, get it over with before the left seeks to overwhelm us. But I predicted this. I predicted that they would go to violence. These leftists are now threatening to kill Kristi Noem and others outright. They should be arrested. You can't do that with a federal official. Round them up, send them to some farm in Wyoming or whatever, and let them have fun with the cows. That's what I think they should do. Some of them actually would be better off with cows than some of the people that they actually have as their boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives. It's a freak show. That's what it is. And that's the way they should be treated. Now, what isn't a freak show, what is very serious is what's going on in Iran. And that's not getting enough coverage right now. Fox News would rather talk about Luigi Mangione because the guy's good looking and he has a following, killing the United Healthcare executive. And they'd rather talk about Minnesota and other things. But what's going on in Iran can completely reshape the Middle East. It's even more important than what happened in Venezuela. And I know because I've been involved with Iran for many years. I brought cases against the supreme leader. I have a default judgment pending against the regime in Washington, D.C. for the shootdown of Extortion 17. The Iranians were paying bounties to kill American servicemen. These were special ops, the biggest loss of life in the Afghan war. I represented a number of Iranian families. I represented the family of Akbar Mohammadi, who was the first student leader in modern times to call for regime change. For that, he got imprisoned in Iran prison, tortured, killed, and his remains thrown out in the streets. His brother manager actually had his testicles burned. These people are animals. I mean, when Trump uses the word animals, it applies mostly to the Iranian regime. They're nothing better. In fact, I would say cockroaches are of a higher order in terms of humanity than these people. But Trump has issued a threat, and I hope he makes good on it, because already about 1,000 people have been killed in Iran. He said he would have the United States intercede if people were being shot and killed. Now is the time to get rid of this Iranian regime, this scourge, not just in the Middle East, but the entire world. A regime which still has either enough uranium to make 10 nuclear weapons, or perhaps they even have nuclear weapons. We don't know for sure. Now that they're on their way out, it's time to finish them off before this goes on further. And this would be a valid use of American power. I suspect that Israel is in there with its Mossad. I suspect that they're helping to destabilize the situation. But now is the time to get rid of them. Now, this happened back in 2009, but Obama, of course, who in his heart was a Muslim, he was not really a Christian, not at all. In fact, he canceled the National Day of Prayer one year to feast Ramadan instead. And that's not to disparage good Muslims, but he's not one of them, I might add. He actually would not take any action when a similar uprising occurred in 2009. And in fact, the Voice of America under Obama, actually, the Persian News Network was led by an individual whose father was a close advisor to the Ayatollah Khomeini. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Now we have a different president and we have a different world. And if we take out these cockroaches in Iran, this Iranian regime, the supreme leader, then everything will change. They're now sending in, because you see, Iranians don't want to kill other Iranians, which is good. They're bringing in people from Hezbollah, from Hamas, other terrorist groups, ISIS, to kill the Iranian protesters. This is a trigger. This is a point where we should just simply take them out. And I said earlier that the peace treaty that we allegedly negotiated was a sham from the beginning. It was nothing but a way to buy time. Hamas got to occupy about 50% of Gaza again. They're not leaving. They're not disarming. Now is the time to take care of all of them at the same time and move on. And I trust the United States and Israel will come together and do that. And frankly, not worry about world opinion, because you could say with a quarter, you'll get a shoe shine with world opinion. That means nothing. We have to do what we need to do, and we need to get the job done now. So that's my message to President Trump. You said you would come to the aid of the Iranian protesters. Well, do it now. and I suspect that he's about ready to do it. I have faith in President Trump that he makes good on his word. That's my message for today. We have lawsuits against Iran that are still pending, and we need your support because the people who have been harmed should be compensated for all the harm all these years. Just like we're going to have a suit for the J6 victims, they should be compensated. Just like we're going after Ilham Omar to get her criminally indicted and thrown out of this United States, deported. That is, just like we have cases against Gavin Newsom, the Attorney General in California, and the California legislature for the mask law, which says that Antifa can wear masks, but ICE and police officers can't. These cases will be filed next week. And we're going to have a case again with regard to Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Jill Biden, the White House doctor, and now we're adding Newsom for the fraud that was committed in the 2020 and 2024 elections, where the American people and Floridians were led to believe that Joe Biden was capable physically and mentally of being president. We're looking to have them banned from the ballot, Newsom and Kamala Harris, who want to run for the presidency under Florida election law, which is very, very broad. These are the things we do at Freedom Watch. This is why we need your strong support. We need strong tax-deductible contributions. We are your Justice Department. We're complementary to the Trump Justice Department, which can't do everything. So please go to freedomwatchusa.org. Contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. And remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Now is the time to do what needs to be done to return this world to some sense of law and order and to return it to Judeo-Christian values and values just generally that conform with that, our 10 Commandments. And it's a time to restore this nation to greatness and to remove the left from the body politic of our country, to relegate them to the ash heap of their lying history. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.